Hello, welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
My name is Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of technoless. See?
Welcome.
I knew how to do
that
this.
That was good. You did really good.
Thank you.
What
You know what I did?
say?
I don't know. It's just one of the various holiday shirts from the Hack Across the Planet.
From your trip to Alderaan?
Gonna get back to that. Let me get back to you on that one.
Oh.
I'm still doing some research.
Oh, okay.
But I hear it's beautiful this time of year. We are going to find out what is better than a Wi-Fi pineapple.
I would say a lot of Wi-Fi pineapples.
Let's find out.
Hey everyone, I am back with Darkmatter. I am super excited. You probably remember Darkmatter from last year when he had set out about 12 different boxes with Wi-Fi pineapples in them all over the convention center, specifically to collect data and pretty much share it with the convention so they could learn more about what was going on at the con. This year, you've been running around with this strange contraption on your back, and I'm just sorry, we have to talk about this because it's nuts and it looks so heavy. Okay, what is going on?
Well, first off, it's hashtag Wi-Fi Cactus. Basically, it's 50 Wi-Fi pineapple tetras, or excuse me, 25, which gives us 50 total radios to listen on 50 channels at the same time. So we're doing 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless monitoring, all passive. And so it's like the ultimate war walk.
So wait, explain that to me, because I thought with Wi-Fi channels, you just get 14, but legally you can only use some of those in the US, and then the 14th one, I believe, is for Japan. So how are you getting 50?
So there's the 2.4 band, which is the 12 channels plus the illegal ones, and then there's the 5.8 gigahertz, or 5 gigahertz, which includes some special regulations to be able to broadcast in the lower half of it, and then also the upper. But if you're passive listening, you're not broadcasting, so we can listen on all those channels without a problem. And so there's actually 81 total channels that are available. Some of those channels are 40 megahertz wide and also 80 megahertz, but the default 802.11 is 20 megahertz channels unless you're using the extra bandwidth to be able to get more speed. And so this device will capture on all those channels 50 of those 81 at the same time. So it allows us to get more data without having fragmented packets or without losing data. So that was a problem in past years with past projects.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I'm sure. Welcome to Wi-Fi 101. So what kind of data are you collecting with these 25 different Wi-Fi pineapple tetras?
So we're seeing a lot of beacons. We're seeing just the environment of the how many people are using their Wi-Fi. You know, I mean, everyone's recommends to turn on airplane mode and turn off the Wi-Fi. This year, though, it was interesting. DEF CON said the Wi-Fi was safe, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, what comes out in the data from that with the project this year. But yeah, I mean, we're also looking for attacks, right? Because there's a lot of things going on. This is the most dangerous network in the world, and so it's like last year we were able to validate a lot of that by seeing the types of attacks. This year, though, there's a new type of attack that's pretty sketchy with the Broadcom attack, where it affects the Broadcom.
So if you want information on that, that's basically the Broadcom chipsets, which are in pretty much a huge percentage of the cell phone devices that are on the market today. So your smartphones at home are probably running on a Broadcom chipset. And basically, Broadcom allows somebody to send out packets to your device and gain admin or root credentials, basically. And even if you put your phone in like airplane mode without NFC, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi turned on, because your phone is still sending out location services via GPS and via Wi-Fi and things like that, which I didn't know until my coworker Seb told me about.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's probably one of the most scary bugs. It was released to the vendors earlier this year, I think in March, and they've put out a bunch of patches like Apple 10.10.3, iOS 10.10 addressed it and fixed it. Android also released a fix, but Android typically takes a long time to patch because it's pretty much handled by carriers, not opposed to a company. And so there's still a lot of vulnerable devices out there. So that was actually publicly released at Black Hat on Thursday. I was at that talk. Also, I talked to the guy who found the vulnerability, found out some of the signatures, worked with Dragorn, who's behind Kismet, and he made an IDS signature that we're running here so we can see if anyone's actively exploiting it. So as far as I know, we are the first ones to do active identification of Broadcom, and that was one of the things I was seeing on Twitter that people were just like blowing up about and being like, that's going to be a huge thing that happens at DEF CON this year, and it's going to be interesting to look at the data and see if it showed up or not. So I haven't analyzed the data yet. It's early in the con, and so hopefully maybe by tomorrow I can have some data and report back. So.
Yeah, definitely let us know on your Twitter, I'm assuming, or just like send me a message and let me know if you've seen anybody using Broadpwn, because I really want to know if that's been happening here. So you mentioned Dragorn and Kismet. Are you running a new version of Kismet, or what's going on there?
Actually, I'm running literally the bleeding edge of it. Like, I'm running GitHub master, and so it's been kind of scary. He's been pushing a ton of updates for me like crazy. He's moved from the traditional command line interface to this new web-based interface. Also, we have remote capture devices, which means that you can now take a Wi-Fi Pineapple, for example, hook it up with an Ethernet cable to, in my case, the Nook, and be able to push information as if it were like plugged in USB. It looks like a raw device. So I'm actually getting all that data, able to aggregate it directly on the Nook, and I have everything in one Kismet session. So as far as I know,
That's going to save you a lot of labor-intensive work afterwards, because you don't have to aggregate everything onto like one machine. You already have everything happening on that one Nook. And you showed me earlier physically on the Wi-Fi Cactus, is that what we're calling it?
Hashtag Wi-Fi Cactus.
Hashtag Wi-Fi Cactus. You showed me earlier that you basically have all the Wi-Fi Pineapples running into a network switch physically, and then you have that running into the Nook. What about power? Is there any kind of power issues that you've run into with this, or how are you running it?
It's about 200 watts of power, and heat transfers up, and so I've got some thermal images of it, and we definitely are getting hotter at the top. And I talked to Seb because let me back up a second. Hak5 obviously sponsored this project, and huge thank you for making it happen, because I couldn't have done it without you guys. But I talked to Seb and Darren about what the maximum running temperature is, and we're like just barely under the maximum recommended temperature. We're about at 68 degrees Celsius, so pretty toasty at the very top. So. But YOLO, right?
Right, YOLO. So one other thing I wanted to ask is, obviously, I think this is the biggest of the biggest that you can need for sniffing all the different channels at one time. Is there any reason why a company would need that many Wi-Fi Pineapples to sniff channels, or could they just be good with one?
Well, I think that one just doesn't give you the coverage that you need. You're going to miss information if you have a savvy attacker that's switching channels on you and doing some things. You're just going to miss it. Yeah, channel hopping, you're going to miss it because you yourself will be channel hopping too. And so it's hard to identify the signature. Or imagine, like a large building where you have hundreds of access points on coordinated channels throughout the building, and you want to validate that things are working how you expect. You need a device like this that has full channel coverage so you could troubleshoot each individually. Otherwise, you may get fragmented packets, pieces of information that don't give you the full picture, and then you're left wondering, is it actually the wireless devices? Is it the clients? Who is the problem? Because you don't have the full picture. So
I think we pretty much covered everything with the hashtag Wi-Fi Cactus. Is there anything else that you want to shout out about this project?
I'm going to post a full write-up on my blog, palshack.org, and then just follow me on Twitter, and I don't know what's going to be next because this is out of control. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where do you go from here? Because this is pretty insane. Okay, so you're running it off a car battery. How much does it weigh?
We're about 45 pounds to 60 pounds, depending on the battery I choose. The rack itself is about 30 pounds. So it's definitely the ultimate war walking rig at this point.
Seriously. Well, I wish you luck. I'm sure you're getting some serious workouts while you're here. I wish power steps. I wish I could burn that many calories at a convention. Thank you so much, Darkmatter. It was awesome chatting with you about this. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I seriously cannot wait to see what's next.
Oh, I know. It's going to be incredible.
Here, just not it's really heavy.
It's super heavy.
Hi Garrett.
Hey.
What do you do? What do you do on the internet?
I sell things.
What do you sell?
Hacker products. Offensive security at hackerwarehouse.com. I also do.
He runs that website right there.
Hey, there you go. That's awesome.
What else do you do?
Consulting and training. We just started training last year.
Nice.
Yep.
How's it going?
Fun.
Going good? How were your sales at the convention?
Always fun. Always busy.
Always busy.
Always
That's
busy.
true.
First
That's true.
like Friday rush.
It's the zombie horde.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that comes in the first day. Yeah.
I seriously
Do your
felt
feet
like
hurt? A little bit.
I've
What about-
been getting like.
Can you tell me about that?
reflexology now.
What's this going on back there?
Hackerwarehouse TV.
What's that?
Yeah, we got a little dedicated mobile set going on at DevCon
That's
this year.
freaking awesome. I'm actually really jealous of your setup back here because the lights and the backdrop look incredible.
Awesome,
And then you
thank
can
you.
like hide behind it and have your own little green room.
Yep.
It's so nice.
Yes, I like having the addition of having an admin space that we could hide.
I'm gonna steal your idea. And then
Yeah,
you
the
can,
banners has worked out really well. Like the lighting, like I like that.
so cool.
I like that glow.
the glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
It's sexy back there. So where can people find the show?
Hackerwarehouse.tv. It's a YouTube channel, and hackerwarehouse.tv just redirects to our YouTube link.
You should subscribe. They do amazing work, and Hacker Warehouse is awesome. They sell like every gadget that you would ever need if you need to do some kind of InfoSec or hacking. Of course, if you're interested in Wi-Fi printables, hackshop.com.
Of course.
Cross promo.
Yep.
Oh, and Garrett made the first electronic badge that I got at the convention this year. This is so cool.
That was
I wanna
my
turn it on.
first electronic project. And
This was your first one?
yeah.
Honestly, like this is the most responsive badge that I got, and I'm gonna turn on. Where's the rainbow one? That's my favorite. Yeah, there we go. So it does a bunch of stuff on the screen, of course, but I like the LEDs.
Yes.
Those are
Everyone
my
likes
favorite.
blinky colors and awesomeness.
It's so pretty, and it looks like I'm having a party back here with my DC-801 badge.
We
So cool. I
seriously
love it.
need a party mode where it just gets like crazy.
do. I think that Hak5 and Hacker Warehouse should make badges that like talk to each other.
Yes, we should do that next year.
Like they have to get both of them and then they get a discount.
Seriously. Yeah,
both
we
of them or
should
something.
do that.
I don't know, something like that. What do you guys think? Let us know.
Cool.
Thanks for
Happy to hear
chatting,
from you
Garrett.
guys. Yep.
So nice to see you.
Got a great idea? Bring it to the web the way we do and head over to domain.com. They've got a slick domain discovery system and an easy checkout process so your site will be online in no time. And the domain.com guys have been supporting Hak5 for years and they want to celebrate with a massive promo code. Use HAK Jumbo for 35% off new domain registrations now through November 30th. It's a limited time offer, so when you think domain names, think domain.com.
For more from DEF CON and B-Sides Las Vegas, today I am talking to somebody very interesting, John Nye, VP at Synergistic. He actually did a whole bunch of interesting talks, one at B-Sides LV and then Social Engineering Village, which happens at DEF CON, all about humans, human interaction with technology, and why the heck do we suck so much at risk management. So John Nye, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So first off, I wanted to just ask you, why in the world do humans suck so much at risk management with security and privacy specifically?
Absolutely. So a very good way to see it is those of us who've worked in technical aspects of security for a long time, spent 10 years doing pen testing. So I've been a tech head. I've been looking at all the technical controls, and I felt like I'm in Groundhog's Day, like I'm Bill Murray. You know, it's the same things over and over again, and I started to wonder why. So that about 2 years ago is when I started to wonder why, and that's all I've cared about for the last 2 years now.
Wow.
Is figuring this out. And I think that it is the human element, and the reason is that we as an industry, really as a society, but as an industry, don't accept people for what they really are.
Yeah.
We have like imposed rationality and reasonableness onto people.
We have biases,
they-
unconscious biases that we automatically think about whenever we see certain kinds of people, for example, and we make automatic assumptions.
Yep, regardless of whether they're conscious or not. In fact, they mostly aren't. And it might be something like you don't like somebody that eats meat because you don't eat meat. It very well could be that.
I eat meat. I hope you guys still like me.
I do too. But that could very well be like an unconscious bias. You go out to dinner with someone and they order a steak and you are instantly grossed out by that person. And then it's hard to listen to them. It's just an example.
So how does this end up affecting people that are working in InfoSec whenever you fall into these biases?
Absolutely. So with InfoSec, we have tried really hard to put in all of these very complex and well thought out controls and processes and methods for handling things. Well, all of them are based on two things: technical solutions and the rationality of the people using the computers. Right. And so we've built an industry on assumptions that are wrong. We're not the first ones to do this either. All you got to do is look at economics, or interrogation, or a million other avenues of approach. They all did this to begin with for hundreds of years.
So for the longest time, we've been believing that these different factors work, especially for humans. But in the long scenario case, these things actually don't work at all. Is that what I'm getting?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's a lot of the missing story. We're missing the story. So if you remember, think back to like junior high when you learned about the 5 W's and the H: who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Oh, right.
Which is a thing you think about for journalism. So I'm sure it's something you've thought of. But that is what we need to start telling our users and our peers. This is not limited to just users being unreasonable. All people are, including your coworkers. And that is really important. So if we can start telling that story, we can tell them, who is attacking you? Why are they attacking you? Why should you be careful? What should you look out for? What are the methods they use? All of these things, then it becomes a real issue to the users rather than saying, bad guys are out there to get you. We've been using fear. We've scared people into not wanting to do things.
Right.
Actually,
fear's never going to work very well because it's not going to make people happy to do their job. At least in my case, it doesn't. So I prefer being able to ask those questions freely so that I can get the answers that I need to be able to do my job better. And I think that really helps with InfoSec especially.
A really great example I saw just yesterday on Twitter was some people who were at the pet conference that was right next to Black Hat.
There was a pet conference?
Yeah, they have a giant, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a giant conference for like pet supplies right at the exact same time as DEF CON. It's been the last couple of years right there at Mandalay Bay. Well, they posted some pictures of people in there, they were telling them to turn their phones off, to disable their Wi-Fi. There was people literally wearing tinfoil hats. I know it was a joke, but still, that's a sign right there. These are non-technical people who are scared to death. Right. They're so scared that they're like, turn it all off. Let's not use it. That's not the answer. I think the answer is more esoteric than that.
So you were talking about telling stories to really get the point across to people. Is that something that you think InfoSec professionals should be doing, or the people that are hiring them should be doing when they're training? Like, who are the best people that should be doing this, or is this something that everybody needs to be paying more attention to?
I think the last bit right there. So this is something that should permeate all of our industry, and this does not rely just on security, all of IT. This is not limited to just InfoSec. And by telling stories, which there's a phenomenal book by Annette Simmons called The Story Factor that I highly recommend to all of you. It's like $5 on Kindle. Just get it, read it. You will learn so much. But she was a scientist who went to a storytelling conference and was blown away by the power of these simple, these people were telling fables, simple stories. But if you think about human history, we have carried down all of our beliefs, all of our stories, all of our knowledge up until maybe 100 years ago, purely through story, through word of mouth and through story. And that has faded, and we've gone into all these technical explanations and checklists and And I mean, that stuff is important. Technology has that, but we need to tell the story behind it. We need to make sure the people, and this does go all the way back to training a brand new person in InfoSec, to talking to the person who works as a cashier in the cafeteria.
Oh, totally.
You know? We have to make them all understand it.
I've done the exact same things when I was working at Domino's Pizza. I would train people with stories. So I would tell them like, hey, the reason why we have to follow this rule is because it's dangerous if you touch the oven, or some even simple things like that. Sometimes you need to create those stories to help them really understand. So do you think that common sense exists in people's minds, or is this a complete falsity?
So I have a whole slide about it, and I could talk for days, but essentially common sense does not exist. It is a false conception that, and basically what it comes down to is that no one person sees the world in the same way.
Right.
Very easy for us, and in fact, by default, we as people imagine and expect that everyone else is like us, at least in most ways. We see the surface differences. Your hair is longer than mine, or something like that, but we assume that they see the world in a relatively similar way. The truth is that they don't. You think about it, their beliefs, their perceptions, their, what they've learned, their education, their family, they go home to different people every night. They probably watch different TV shows. I mean, all those things make up that person and make them so much different. So to say common sense is just ludicrous, because there is no commonality, not to that extent. So that's something we need to stop saying, period. As an industry, no more common sense. We need to approach it from, what makes sense instead of common sense.
And of course, I think it goes without saying too that things like memory play a huge role in the human factor with risk management, because of things like your example, which was passwords, how it's very hard for consumers to remember passwords, or employees to. So we end up with very simple ones, or we write them down and they're very easy to find. Things like that additionally play a huge key role in InfoSec. So other than storytelling, do you have any other ideas on how we can do better and how companies can do better with InfoSec? And also, I do want to ask too, what is risk management? Because I know a lot of our viewers are going to ask you anyway.
Absolutely. So I actually did a master's class it was a risk management master's class about 2 years ago, right when I started getting into this. And it was the most boring class in the world. Risk management is not, at least in its knowledge form or its educational form, is not very interesting. But I think that's because we're approaching it wrong. Essentially, risk management is looking at all of the possibilities, all the possible bad things that could happen to you or an organization, whatever you're applying it to, and then figuring out which of those risks you should take steps to avoid, or to mitigate, or to deal with, or to pass off, through insurance. So there's a lot of ways to deal with that risk, but the problem we're facing is the way that we approach it, because most of the people that are analyzing and assessing that risk work for the organization or are getting paid by them, and therefore do have a personal impact in seeing that risk.
So they have a bias.
Exactly. Our brains are specifically built so that we do not see all the dangers that we face constantly. If you think about it, I mean, every time you get in your car, you could die.
Oh, totally.
You start thinking about that, you get super paranoid, or you'd never go swimming or go driving ever again because you might die. But our brains purposely have that block. It's a good thing that we have it, but when it comes to things like risk management, looking at the dangers that we face, then we start running into a lot of problems.
So how do we do better, John? Because it's going to be very hard to take my personal opinions out of everything.
You're not gonna. No matter how hard you try, and neither am I. All of us, we're biased. It ain't going away. But what we can do, one thing that I've seen a huge improvement with, is just simply having peers review it. Having a second set, third set, fifth set, the more sets of eyes that you can have on something, the more likely they're going to see it from other angles.
Right.
So that's important. And then another thing we need to look at is the algorithms. We've assigned all of these algorithms to deciding things, and we often get stuck in dealing with just those algorithms where there might very well be a better approach or a better way. So we kind of need to empower our people looking at risk, people trying to understand risk, to use their brains and we also need to give them more resources, and it should not always just be another risk person doing these peer reviews.
Right, of course.
It should be, let a manager look at it, let somebody who works at the help desk look at it. They very likely have seen things you never thought of.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a big one, peer review, I think.
So you got to think outside that box. John, is there anything else that we should cover before we go ahead and let you go off to do whatever you like to do in the afternoon?
Oh, let's see. So it's a giant topic. There's a need for more of us. There's actually probably about 20 or so of us out there who care about this stuff, who are looking at decision theory and game theory, like Selena Kyle's a good example.
Totally.
So there's a lot of people out there doing this, but we need more. We all need to be involved. I think all of us need to be looking at this and trying our best to understand it and to approach the world as it really is, not as we want it to be.
This totally preaches back to the talk that Darren and I gave at OSCERT, where we discovered that if you take 100 USB rubber duckies to a information security conference, 62 of them will be plugged in. And that's a very high percentage, and it's because, I don't know, maybe InfoSec professionals are missing some of that common sense. 62%. Oh, it's crazy. John, thank you so much for speaking to us about this. I think it's really important. Where can people find more information about what you do, and what is your Twitter handle?
Yes, so on Twitter it is at endisnye, N-Y-E, all one word, _com.
Perfect.
So endisnye _com, and you will be able to find links to all the things. I've also got articles on Peerlist and at our Synergistic website, synergistic.com. I have blogs galore. So, and please reach out to me. Let's talk about this. Let's grow it.
Yes, I agree. Yes, everyone, please reach out to John Nye. And John, thank you so much again. Really appreciate you chatting with us.
That just about wraps up this week's episode of Hak5. But before we get going, Shannon.
What?
We have received a lot of stickers.
Didn't we? Are you jealous of me
for
the mere fact that I got to wear the Wi-Fi Cactus?
I'm so jealous of that.
Yeah. It was so cool. That thing weighed so much that I had to lean forward or else I would have fallen backwards.
Wow.
It weighed a ton. But and it was cool talking to John Nye about, why we suck so much at risk management. So that was great interviews.
A lot of things.
Great interviews this week. So thanks guys for being on the show.
It was a great DEF CON.
And we got tons of stickers from DEF CON
joke.
as
Look at
well.
these.
I got so many.
Oh, we got a B-Sides Raleigh.
We did get a B-Sides Raleigh, B-Sides Las Vegas, B-Sides Tel Aviv.
Gotta love the B-Sides Tel Aviv.
Did I get any other B-Sides ones? Earl Grey, hot.
Yes.
There's a hacker that makes tea. It's called the devoteusa.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good tea too.
Freenode, good stuff. I love
DJ
that.
Jackalope.
Oh, Jackalope?
Yeah, DJ Jackalope.
There we go. I'm loving the new Paul.com hack naked stickers. These are nice.
It's so great. Yeah, I love it. I hack charities, of course.
Oh,
what else do we have?
This is one of my favorites this year.
ones.
I love just how simple this is. This is good. This is that's called good design, guys.
That's called Hashcat.
Yeah, it's also called, this one's going on my side of the set.
Okay.
Right? Get the Hashcat love right there.
Well, I think we'll start a little bit of a time lapse while we stick all these stickers up. What do you say?
Let's stick all the things.
Okay.
Wow, that looks amazing.
It does look amazing. I can't wait till the entire thing is covered with stickers.
Sticker all the things.
So cool. Yes.
Hey, I wanted to remind you guys that if you'd like, you can support Hak5 directly over at hakshop.com, and that's where you can find all of the awesome gear that we were having at DEF CON, including our new field kit, which includes this awesome book. The field kit guidebook gets you started on all the tools, the bunny, the turtle, the ducky.
If you see typos in the Bash Bunny area, it's because I didn't get a chance to edit it.
But that will be fixed in the next run because
Yes,
we have
it
to do we have to do another run here real soon.
Okay, good.
So
Because I already did all the
file.
grammar stuff and marked it up, so I'll send you all that info. This is how the things happen behind the scenes.
Yeah. Thankfully, it still compiles, even if it's misspelled.
Oh, it
go
does?
figure.
Really? Does it really? I was like, since when?
See, if this were code, I would have caught the problem.
If you knew better, if you had watched ThreatWire, you would know that there were some issues with the NPM JavaScript library where people were uploading misspelled libraries, I think repositories or whatever it's called. I'm not a coder. But they were doing that so that they could get developer credentials whenever people were installing these libraries or calling those libraries from the NPM.
There's so many problems with
yes.
convenience. That actually
Spelling
comes back to
matters.
convenience and security because
Doesn't it?
Because NPM is amazing because it's convenient, but then
Right.
any system that makes something that simple, like I don't have the time to check every line of code on everything running on my box, nor do you. But cool attack. Also, I'm just going to point this out, Shannon, as I switch to your camera. I realized, why do I not have that sticker
Oh, that
on
one.
my side?
Right there.
I want that
stole
sticker.
It. That was the first one I put up.
That's the
It's
sticker
so
I
cute.
want on my side.
Well, maybe I'll get you an extra. How's that
Okay.
sound?
How about we just switch sides? With that, I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
Trust your technolist. No, seriously, I should just like stand on this side. This is my
No.
better side anyway.
This camera's already set
no,
for me.
what do you mean set?
Because I'm shorter than you, so
No,
I
you
need the. See? It's set for me. You're too tall.
No, I'm not.
You're too tall.
I'm not too tall.
Get away from me. You smell bad. Go. Leave.
Did I?
Leave me
Oh,
alone.
yeah.